Good evening. Hello, everyone. There we go. How's everyone doing? Ugh. Rough. All right. It is Friday. We're back. Got another stream. Love it. Low energy today. It's been, I wouldn't say it's been a long week, but I've slept poorly across the week, so it's been challenging when it comes to that side of the week. Well, yeah, I'm just rambling right now. Nothing makes sense. Oh. There we go. And as per tradition, well, it's only the second week. I once again have a little drink with me today. Nothing too serious. It's something that keeps me, I don't know. Not sure what I'm going for. Mostly the taste, I'd say. Of course, can't really deny that alcohol does something to you, but responsible drinking and all that, right? So, I think we can just get into it. I can do my rambling as we go along. Let's adjust this guy. So, sorry about that. So I did a minor adjustment to this guy. Remove the LODs. Don't think we need that. So I'm just gonna make sure it's the right one that's in Unreal. Let's go to Unreal, have a look. I don't think this guy has LODs. Let's launch and re-import. Make sure we do with dialog, because I need to double check that. That this setting is on, and it is perfect. Do an import, and now I should see, I do have all of these. Do I have to delete them? I might have to. Thought it would do it automatically, but oh well. Add this guy. Let's delete. Like so. There we go. I was noticing one of the LEDs when it came to the lower one. The less, the one with the very low trying count, you got these normal issues, which is a running theme for this project apparently, or at least it's for the entire month of May. All I've had is normal issues. It's been fun. I did find a solution to last time's issues, which were my trees looked poor, really bad when it came to the world normals, or the mesh normals, what I want to call them. But now, if I do this, you can see I'm borrowing this sphere as a short reference. I guess that's the best word for it. So you can see, we have a look, you know, the blues going down this side, and give or take, it's kind of the same on these. I guess this was a bit more easy to spot, but you can also see the greens down there comes from this part. So I think this works out a lot better than the previous version. So you can see it's kind of nice. Didn't do much else in between streams, apart from that I did update these LEDs like fully, and I'm not going to touch the LEDs on these trees unless I see something break. For now, what we see is what we get. We might see some obvious shift between the various LEDs, but I think we're kind of good for now. I do need to address the fact that I do not have any colliders on these guys. Haven't fully decided yet on how I want to go about doing that. have a few options. I do believe this guy has an L or a glider. This one doesn't yet. We'll see. And of course, not 100% sure if I want to use these two. Might just go for a new version, new personalized mount for this guy. This one might be less, well, be more difficult to remake into something else. Not impossible, but the tedious work will be kind of wasted since I already have this one. So I want to try and see if I can perhaps remove some of the green colors. That shouldn't be too difficult. But if it looks good enough, that's another question. Other than that, I do want to add some snow on top. So we do have a few things to do with this guy. Other than that, yeah, these needs colliders. I guess we can start with colliders. Seems like a good place to start. So let's go with this guy. Now, I'm just gonna do this. So yeah, so the options we have. We could try do remake something in Real. Or we can make a custom, more tight fit version in Blender, which will require more effort, more time. And I kind of feel like I've spent a lot of time nitpicking on details for these, like not for these necessarily these assets, but on this stage. I might want to speed things up ever slightly. Just kind of wondering why all this guy was. So yeah, for this guy though, I think let's see if we can't use the built-in Unreal stuff. So let's see. I want to see the floor. So let's add that. And something I personally discovered just last week is if you press Alt and C, you can toggle gliders back and forth. You can see gliders on my floor. It's toggling back and forth. And this works also inside the 3D viewport. So it's not only in the static mesh editor. So let's see. So what options do we have? If this was a nanite, we could have used, I believe it's the fallback target or fallback mesh that is used, which is a very low relative, of course, relative version to the full nanite. So it's low resolution triangle or nanite mesh compared to the full one. But we can also look at collisions. So we do have a few options. Generate a new axis aligned box collision. Okay. Box to convex. Auto convex collision. Opens the auto convex collision tool for generating a new convex collision mesh or meshes. We might do that. But to be honest, I've only used this tool like maybe once. So I'm not sure how well it will work. So I'm just gonna do a Google search for Unreal Dock auto convex collision. See if we can get some information. There's something. Let's see if we can't find anything interesting. Hey, how you doing, Aditya? What would be your interaction idea for your game? So what I'm looking at right now, so I'm assuming when you talk about interaction, you're referring to how the player either picks up items or solves puzzles, kind of the E button or whatever you want, or the X button if you play in console or something along those lines. For now, I'm looking at pickup stuff. Likely we'll do the pickup and rotation thing. Mostly, well, I guess mostly famous from is the Resident Evil series. That could be interesting. If anything, just have players see something in front of them, kind of investigate whatever it is they pick up. But of course, Amnesia is a inspiration. So that could be something, various mechanics. Probably not the physics-based movement stuff. It's more like pick up, keep it in your inventory. Once you get to the place where it needs to be, you place it and maybe make things less gamey. I might do some animation. I'm not sure yet. But I will keep it to my strengths, if that makes sense. And since making game coded, game designed, or game scripted events mechanics isn't really my biggest skill set, I will keep it simple. To a good degree, I will probably try and push myself at least. Learn new stuff. Alternatively, I might actually consider, if I feel the game as we progress, as I develop the game, if I feel like I'm confident in it and I'm getting good response from either chat or other sources, I might consider actually employing someone to do the mechanics. But then again, we're talking deployment, that's a lot of money. But if it's maybe short, like a very small mechanic, then maybe I'll get away with paying a full salary because it's a short, small project rather than a big month-long stuff. I also have a friend who, if he has the time and is interested, there might be something too. So I have options, but for now, simple mechanics, looking at Amnesia, Resident Evil stuff. Let's see. Custom object, we don't do the custom trace type, no. I'm assuming it's the top one. Review collisions in your game, so I believe it's this guy. So the steps are, first up on the stack mesh we want, yeah, fair enough. Boosting rock mesh, fair enough. Next up, go to auto convex. We're gonna get that option down there. I've done that before at least. When all of the above settings have been input, click apply button to begin the collision creation process. Fair, but what do they do? I mean, hold position, does that mean that an increase would be more precise? Decrease would be more precise? I've been through both scenarios, maybe not just this tool, but many cases before. Like if you go to Blender and you do the remesh but Vox feature, then I believe if you go down, you increase the resolution because it's the size of the voxels themselves, and if they're smaller, you can have more of them spawned. Something along those lines. But either way, that's rambling. Computer collision will now run in background tasks, blah, blah, blah. Progress of the collision creation will be shown. Okay, so that's fair. The end result. When completing, you can view the new collision if not already enabled by clicking collision icon. Well, we do have that enabled through the Alt-D command. The following sequence shows what type of results you can get. Okay. What is this? Oh, okay, so interesting. I mean, this is more than enough for what we need. So yeah. Let's try it out, see if we can get something interesting. Yeah. Right, so collisions, auto convex. Where is it? Oh, it's right there. Can I do this instead? There we go. Hold, there you go. Maximum number of convex pieces that will be created. Can I make it a single one? Let's try that. Let's try just give me one collision. Maximum number of vertices allowed for any generated convex hull. Fair. How about we increase that? Let's make it 64. It might, or 32. Let's make it 32. Apparently, I don't have a choice. Lastly, a number of vocals to use when generating collision. So what it seems to be doing, if I get the feeling that what it does is that it takes the base mesh, makes a voxel version of it, then somehow either generate a new collider based on that voxel, like outside of it, or it converts the voxel to geometry and then reduces the shape. I've seen that being done in a Houdini at least, so perhaps, but either way, then apply. Oh. Okay. Can we look? That doesn't look half bad. I mean, sure, it doesn't follow this section, but this is not a climbing game or platformer, so all I need is kind of something just that kind of stops me. Apologies. Perhaps we can even go down further, maybe 24. Does that make sense? It's that important? I don't think it is. So let's just see how we interact with this now. Yeah. I argue this is as good as I'll get when I use it, when I do this in Blender. So we can just speed this up. These might be more challenging because I'm, again, the initial idea was to not include jumping. It is enabled right now. I was planning on removing it at some point. But perhaps I still want to keep it. And if I do I want to be able to jump on top of this thing? Or should I just keep the jump height low? All right, you know, for now, let's just keep up with the pace we're working. So let's just make an order of X, low, high, fly. Yes, we can straight away see that this will not be able to, I can't jump on this thing because I will just slide down. Or perhaps I will stay up, but then I will be hovering above those rocks. So definitely need to pick. Oh, that is not correct. Let's fix that in a bit. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. So this guy, my guess is if I go to re-import with mesh dialog, I go to collision, I will have import collision. So in this case, it generates a collider instead of importing one because I don't have one, so it just generates one. Yeah, it says fallback collision type. So I'm guessing if I do that, I could either turn it off or I can have it like this. And then I can probably just click it and delete it, right? No, apparently not. Because I don't want to delete this collider that I've already made. Do I need to do this? Apparently, all right. That works. And adding capsule isn't the biggest challenge, so I'm just gonna add that back. No, come on. That's good enough. Have a look around. Maybe I'll move it a bit. There we go. Save. If I show colliders again, there we go. And just for the hell of it, it's going to work, but it's always best to test it out. There we go. So next, guinea pig. How about this? So this will probably be even more obvious that I will be floating. Unless I make it... Ooh, I could try and make it a 2 hull rather than one. You know what? Let's just as an experiment. I want to do that for this guy. So let's remove, make it 2 hull, and apply. That's better. Now you can see I have 1, 2. I'm assuming there are 32 each, which of course makes this one a 64 triangle collider. At least in my head, that makes sense. So how about we reduce that to 24? Can I do that? I can. If I apply, barely any difference. Let's keep it as 24. And then it's this guy. How about 2? I'm gonna make this 16. Let's see what that gives me. There's still some issues up here. For now, I think this is fine. Which also, with the attitude, I could just go with a single hull. Yeah, look at this. This is more than fine. Yeah. That's it. I'm done. So see you all. No, never mind. Oh. Any plans for the weekend though? I do not have plans for the weekend, other than kind of just go to bed and sleep. I might have one of the most boring lives at the moment. All I feel like I'm doing is either, well, game dev isn't boring, but it feels like I'm doing the same thing every day. Good or bad, I don't know. Who cares right now? I'm having fun to an extent. But my point is that all I do is game dev, sleep, wake up, work. I go outside every now and then, touch some grass, just exercise a bit. All right, that's all. I don't know. Was really excited the other day because the thought that, so what's happening in Sweden right now? If you're not from Scandinavia or Northern Europe yourself, you might not know that we're actually entering summer soon. We're really close. And that means here in Sweden, that means that all the Swedes come out to play. It's generally like a stereotype of behavior in Sweden where people always make jokes about, if you were to see a short or meme, whatever, you would see people go through each month. First months, January, February, March, it was all be, I'm bored, I'm depressed, I'm blah, blah, blah. And as you enter May, June, you'll see people with the whatever text or voiceover you have in the meme. People are like, okay, I'm starting to see the joy of life again. And okay, now summer's here, I'm happy. And then you get into winter again, and it's just like depressed and up and down. Just rarely you're having this flat happiness curve. It's more like depressed, happy, depressed, happy. And that's kind of the winter to summer relation. That's how it works in Sweden, at least when it comes to summer and winter. I'm guessing I'm more even because winter's kind of nice, I think. As long as I can stay inside, it's even heat. I got coffee, I got food. Every now I want some candy, ice cream. Honestly, I do eat ice cream during the winter. Love it. Probably my favorite dessert or sweet, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. I did have a point, right? I started to say something and I lost the plot. Right. Barbecue, that's the thing. Since summer is just around the corner, I feel like I'd like to have a barbecue. I need to gather some mates. Probably my brother. We'll see what he thinks. He's pretty occupied over the summer. But he might have at least a weekend, maybe an hour or two to spare. Well, he's usually really never that occupied. tell me in advance. Either way, yeah, point is, I look forward to the idea of having a barbecue. I think that could be nice now that the summer is here. So let's do that. How about that? That looks good enough. So what is a common thing to have at a barbecue, or let's call it summer dining? Because I don't think everyone in the world does barbecue, or do they? I never thought of it. I mean, of course, in Asia you have barbecuing. Maybe not calling it barbecuing, or the equivalent. Maybe there's something else named. And also many countries do have summer year-round, so maybe it's more a regular meal, but that's always outside. I don't know. Then you have Nordic countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, so on. We do love our barbecues. Again, because summer, mostly. And it's really good food. So yeah, the question was really, what is something you all look forward to when it comes to barbecuing in the summer or anytime? Question, do you like barbecue food? What is it? I like a good steak. Give me a savory steak. That's what I want. Or perhaps chicken. Honestly, I've tried barbecue chicken, but I've never tried barbecue myself. Grilling, whatever you want to call it. There we go. Let's do a save. So what about these though? So here's the thing about this type of asset. Do we create a similar complex or semi-complex collider as we did with the previous assets, like these over here? These are, goddamn, what's it called again? I'm always mixing this up. Don't need you up there. So the word I'm looking for. Model. Contains the cannot exist. No, it's not that. So there's a word for a model that is closed off. By closed off, I mean like this guy, these guys. If you turn this one 360 degrees, you will not be able to see inside. This though, you can see inside. So that's not a closed model. What's it called again? Because you have manifold and non-manifold. I'll never remember those also, but apparently they are not related to this. It seems like that has more to do with proper geometry than this type of contained geometry. Just want the definition. In the concept of 3D modeling, a manifold mesh is a 3D object that is watertight. So it is manifold. There you go. I was correct, or rather, I was on the right track. So this guy is not a manifold asset because, as you can see inside, therefore it is a open container or non-watertight. So that means that we might have to address the collider differently. Rather than these, I'm going to call them complex or maybe convex holes. Colliders. We might want to go with or maybe two simple cubes. Could be. But let's experiment. So that was fun experimenting. Let's close this. Let's try with a single hole, make it 32 and apply. What does that give us? Right. And on the inside. So I'm thinking we might want to try something else. Because I'm looking at perhaps at least the maximum 32 triangles. Sorry, That's what this max hole thing is for, right? Or it says verts, so it might be less triangles. But if I place, for example, a cube in this area and then the cube over here, I can get away with less than 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it's roughly the same either way. Maybe I'm trying too much right now. Let's go through all of them with convex. And my reasoning is, I'd rather just keep up the pace for now and address potential performance issues or just colliding issues at a later stage. Let's do that. I think that is a decent approach to this. And this shouldn't be a problem because I do that. Perfect. That, there we go. Pop, pop. Yes, yes. And this guy, that guy, and finally, this might be, maybe I should remove. Because, yeah, sure, I can run over it. It's noticeable at the same time. If it's like this, it might be more interesting, or at least reasonable to say, hey, I can just kind of run through it. The player will not see it. So I'm guessing, or I'm assuming it should be fine to remove this. Okay, so there we go. Save a bit of performance, not much in this case. So let's go to this guy. Make it zip, group, and apply. Zoom in. Yeah. That should be fine. Green Coke, how you doing? Let's see. So just ask yourself, is the player going to walk on it? Yes, then it needs very tight collisions. Yep, true. Else you can sometimes get away with even a plane because these are pieces that go inside corners and have other bigger rocks collision behind them. True. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, that's exactly how you should think about it. In this case, though, it's not a platformer and the player will likely not expect perfect collision meshes, so. Oh, that's not the right one. Or which one was it? I did that all? Did I? Oh, I did that guy again. I removed this, but it's back. So how you been, Coke? Any plans for the weekend? Just mentioned earlier, I'm planning on doing nothing besides sleeping. Oh God, I was just a little terrible. It's self-inflicted, by the way. I'm not going to tell you why I decided to do this, but I did do it. So 2 or 3 days this weekend, or this week, I decided that, you know what, I need to go to bed at 5 a.m. in the morning. Or at one time I was even later than that, and I got like 3 hours of sleep. Like, why am I doing this? I'm like a child, honestly. Ooh, you're getting raiding. Wow, okay. Which version? Mop? Are you playing Mr. Benario? Or are you playing the retail version? What are you playing? And also, what's your class? I'm curious. Let's see. Collision, auto. Oh, blip. Let's do this. No, wait, what? Do that. Oh, if you're curious, maybe you're new to Unreal. If you press Control E when you have an object selected in the viewport, it will automatically open the static mesh editor for you. Still can't believe Sub 2 is made without. Oh, Subnautica. That's true, isn't it? That's a hell of a story, by the way. Subnautica, the controversy surrounding Subnautica and the dev team. Oh, that's insane. Oh, but is it Unreal? That's insane. Yeah, it looks amazing. I've seen a lot of content from YouTubers the past, like, what, 2 weeks? Maybe 1 week? About the game, and I was really tempted myself to play it. You heard the controversy? Yeah, it's insane. It seems to be a happy ending to it, though. But hell, like, what the fuck? Sorry for cursing, by the way. Sometimes it needs to be a curse word in there. It's absolutely insane. Or was it? So so if you haven't heard and you're curious, I think I might be missing a few details, but what I've understood is that the studio behind Subnautica is Unknown World, right? You have not? Okay, so the Unknown Worlds, which I believe is the name of the studio, they were bought by another publisher or another larger studio. I believe it's a publisher though. And I believe the name was Krafton. Do not quote me on that. And when they were bought, I believe it, at least I think it was when they were bought, but either way, they signed a contract with Krafton, is that if Unknown World could reach a certain number of sales on release, and if it's released before 2027, so this year, it needs to be released this year, I think, or this year or next year. But if they can reach a certain number of units sold, they will the entire studio of Unknown World will receive a bonus of $250 million. I think that's the correct number. You know what? I'm not going to guess. Let's see if I can't get some numbers. Nautica to... It should be this guy. So, this is AI summary though, so bit of salt, right? So the Subnautica controversy centers around two major issues. A high-stakes legal battle over a $250 million payout between developer Unknown Worlds and their publisher, Krafton, and community backlash over the game's lack of combat and highly restrictive end-user license program. Okay, I didn't know that part. I think that's kind of new. But the first part is the thing I've been mostly focusing on. Is like, and I think in the end it turned out the Krafton was by a judge meant to be wrong in this thing, so everything went back to what it was before. A lot of layoffs and things like that. It's weird. It was really weird, but it seems like everything's back again to what it was. Also, yeah, clarification. People, at least I believe two leads or producers or higher up C-suite employees at Unknown World were fired or terminated, whatever you want to call it. But they were rehired after the judge determined that whatever Krafton wanted was unlawful and they were not allowed to do it. I think also he used the Krafton CEO, actually, this might be rumor rather than fact. I think he used ChatGPT to determine how to get away from the $250 million payout. So yeah, it's a story. It's a hell of a story. But the user, the TOS, what do we call it, the EU law, is that what we call it? Agreement? That's something new. I didn't know about that. Maybe I should look into that at some point. Be interesting. Let's save. So now my rocks. Apart from these two, so I might just add to these while I'm at it. So let's do one. Big numbers down. There we go. This might be more interesting. How will it fix? My guess is we'll see big line across this part and this part, certainly down there, like from the side. And there's not going to be anything on the inside of this thing, so the branch or root rather will be fully enclosed by the collider. Because what you might have noticed is that it doesn't really handle concave shapes good. It's more like convex, so it's this shape rather than this shape. negative shape or positive shape, you want to call it that. So that is my guess. What's going to happen? But what we might try for this guy, let's make it 4. Let's make it 24. So rather than doing one big 32 vertex triangle or convex hull, we'll make 4. So we'll be dividing this into 4 sections. Each section will be 24. So maybe it will be able to make it tighter, kind of capture these parts. I'm not sure if I need it though, but I'm kind of curious how it works. Negative shapes will get the capsule stuck. Yes, I'm assuming that is correct. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't really think about that, but that could definitely be one of the problems. Oh, as you can wedge yourself in there using force and physics. True. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. We don't want that. The last thing I want was people to get stuck. I feel like I had enough things to worry about. So let's do this. Let's try that out. Counter run. Oh, I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. Hello? No, there you go. Whoop. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I can probably jump on top of this guy. Maybe not. There you go. And all of my trees, except for the small ones, have colliders. Perfect. And I'm also going to fix that guy over there. And I'm done, I think, with colliders. The worst thing ever is when you jump on a rock, slide in between, and when you jump, your character does this spasm. That could be insane. I'm not as sensitive to those things, and most, or rather, I might call myself dull. Maybe while others are more normal, might notice these things. But I've never really been much of, like, for example, take FPS stuff. It's not that big of a deal for me. I know that it's from a lot of others, like, you need 60 FPS, but it's like, I've rarely noticed. If you go down beneath 30, sure, but 60? I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me. It's just, I can't say I've noticed. It's a thing for me. Make this 2. Make it 24. Attaboy. There we go. So with that, there's only really one major hurdle for me right now. And if you were here last time, what happened is that while I was trying to export these types of dead shrub assets from Blender, what happened was at some point renaming an asset caused a crash. And looking it up, it seems like Blender 501 has this known issue with this. I'm not sure if I found an exact forum or thread mentioning or talking about exactly what I was going through, but it seems like there is something related to renaming stuff in 501. Maybe very specific cases like, oh, you're renaming a lot of assets, or you're renaming an asset that has children, or you're renaming an asset that has children, and you do a lot of them, and it's a empty object you're renaming. Because it seemed to me, I think all cases happened, or all crashes happened when I was trying to rename one, or the 4th or 5th empty object. So, yeah, it might be something that the Blender Foundation is looking into right now, hopefully. Or I should probably just look up whether or not they have 5.05 or 5.1 out soon. I'm really following along. All right, so perfect. So these are good. So my next step I think my next step is to first have a look at what we do have in the, for now, the main level. And Then after that, I will look into kind of scattering more assets, because I'm using PCG to scatter a lot of stuff, but most of these you can see in this asset zoo hasn't been scattered yet. I think I only scattered like maybe 2 or 3 ferns. This guy, the pine tree, and a few rocks for now. So let's do that. Let's go to sandbox forest. Let's start from the player starts. Yeah. So what I want to do is this. I want more ferns. Definitely more ferns. And I want to limit the range I can see. So we want to increase the density. And perhaps you can even... I think we can even probably reduce the distance of some assets that they're spawned. We can cull them a lot earlier than we're doing right now. The pine trees... And they have... Can I use my system right now as it is? Should be able to do that. So we will not spawn assets at a certain distance, or rather the other way around. At a certain distance, we will spawn them. I can see quite far. If you look at the center of my screen right now, you can see kind of far in the distance where you can see still pines. And I don't want them to pop in and out. But for now, let's keep that down. Or I will wait with that. Let's focus on spawning, rather how we want to spawn ferns. So let's turn this off. Let's go to forest. Let's see if I made some comments. That would be great if I've done that. All right, so what we do have is inputs. This is the data that I extract from the scene, which is the forest container spline point, which is I'm spawning all forest, all trees, everything directly onto the landscape. But then I'm also telling it, hey, if you're inside this spline, 1 second, instead. There's a spline on the outside. You can see it. It's this white spline. So everything that's within that boundary will be spawned. Everything outside will be removed. So that is what this input right here is used for. It's landscape spline points, which would be find, set, transform. Right, so this is the boundary out on the outside. So if you see this gray wall on the outside, that should be what this one controls. And this is gets spline data. This is this path, so I'm removing trees that's on this path with this guy, and this is something where I create a small opening for everything to be, like if I want to place a house or cabin or something like that. But I do have some ads going out, which means I can get some stretches going, and I'm also going to grab my second and final beer for the evening. I'll be right back.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds of
There we go. Going for some Italian today. Also took the chance to, or the opportunity to go to the bathroom. There we go. Cheers all. You have a good Friday. That's good. All right. So now that I've refreshed myself a bit, let's have a look. So we're dividing into grids. We're doing the sampling. We're doing the removal, adapting to some randomness, some density stuff, pruning, removing assets that are very similar or points that are very similar and very close to each other. We're removing those. These are the various different paths that kind of removes either walking path, the cabin path, the cabin zone, or the I believe it's the inside of that spline. Either way, it kind of removes stuff from being on top of the the trees, I think of that. And then was kind of scattering it. Yeah. This is scattering large assets. Do you honestly, let's do this. Spawn. Large. Let's go with large trees for now. Make this 24. Let's make it 32. Move this up. Let's make it black. And there we go. Now we got that. Honestly, rather than this, let's do it this way. There we go. Let's grab this, make that a comment. God, I hate that. There's this really weird way it snaps to the grid back, the grid of the graph itself. So if you create an asset or a frame, then you snap that perfectly to the grid. The inside, the nodes that are inside will kind of offset just a little bit. It's kind of annoying. It's not the end of the world, but it is, yeah, it is what it is. Let's do this. Small annoying things. This would be spawning. I believe this is spawning the medium trees. Yeah. And what I want to do, looking at my references, can I do this? And let's do that. That's not the one. Oh, goddamn. Sometimes jumping between softwares, they're using different ways to move around, navigate. It can be really annoying. We have some references to what I want to make. And one of the things is, which one was it again? I think this one has been more or less the main reference I've been working towards, rather than the lighting itself. The lightings will be different, but the way I want to scatter stuff will be roughly like this. Denser trees, so denser forest, but as you can see, you have some shrub, you have some ferns, or rather it should be spruce, but I only had access to fern assets for now. So what we want to do is to find out the pattern, and it looks like, based on this, that the shrubs tend to kind of live near trees. So either near ferns, like this one over here, or near the pine trees themselves, the larger ones. So that's also something we need to think about. And in these kind of islands, you have ferns and other foliage, it looks like. Yeah. I also need these slightly larger shrubs at some point. I don't have that right now. This is another one. Kinda not as, what should I call it? Creepy. I guess that's the best word for it. As I like it to be, this is way too uniform, scattered out, perfectly scattered. But the density is pretty good, and we can see we have likely what something like a moss or like some bear bush stuff if you're in Scandinavia. I think that makes sense. So we want to scatter these types of things. But it looks like small trees nearby the larger ones, in less numbers though. Okay. Yeah, I think we can do that. So going back to Unreal. Let's see. So let's have a look. So if we're spawning in the medium size, let's double check. It should be medium. No, it's large. Large, medium. Okay, so this is pine. Fair enough. Let's do that. Then this will be fern. Okay, that makes sense. I want to split this, I think. So my thinking is I'd like to have one second. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was kind of right the way I was thinking. So we are not going to change this guy. So I'm going to keep the same mesh entries for now. We can always adjust the weight, the number of one asset that will be spawned compared to the others. So if you set it to 2 means it has priority over 1, which means the likelihood that that type of asset with that weight number will be spawning before the other ones. So that means we can keep that, but I need to adjust the spawn or the points themselves, because right now, if I go to this guy, yes. So let's do that. Move this to the side, turn that off. Let's enable it. So if I go down, I should be able to see cubes. Right, there you go. So these cubes are surrounding this guy. No, let's rethink a bit. I'm going to... Actually, this would be large firs rather than fern, just pure fern. Where are you? Okay, let's do this. So what I want to do, I'm going to spawn the larger versions of the ferns, then use those points to scatter points around those points. So what we need to do is make this guy. I do have at least 2 more large ferns. There you go. We get some variation at least. This is going to be large 3. If I go back, I should only be seeing large fern trees. Yes, they're fairly big though. It's kind of weird. Should I make less of them? You know what? That is for another time. I then want to. So there's a method of you copy other points or data in general, I think, to another point by using the copy to points method, I think. Didn't I have a YouTube video somewhere talking about this? Let's see. Where did I store? Didn't I write it down somewhere? Should have. I think it's this one. All right. So let's do it this way. Let's see. Speed up process. Server sampler, yeah, sure. Density to transform points, yeah, exactly. Create points grid, not sure. Oh, okay, so that. Okay. So you create points grid. This is an old tutorial though, so it might not be. Might not have access to that. And to copy the point because you copy the. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So what we're going to do. We're going to find the final output of the points we're looking for. Which should be this guy. And I'm also going to hide the pines for now. Maybe I'm not. Wait, what? There you go. And the reason we can't see more ferns is because of the culling distance. That's fair. We can do this. Perhaps even do this. There we go. Perfect. So a few things. First of all, I don't like how close some of these are. Let's have a look at that. What we could do is focus on extending the extents modifier. Because if it's larger and it starts to overlap with other extent modifiers, some of them will be removed depending on these variables. The self-pruning. So we can start looking at that. Maybe I should do this. There we go. So let's look at this guy. There is a way. Instead of doing this manually, how about we try... Is there a bounding modifier? Can I use that instead? That's very small. What's the difference? Its steepness. Well, there's obviously a difference. What is the difference? So if I do this, then it's double the size. I was wondering if I could, instead of... I was thinking if I could create a bounding box that's procedural around these trees, rather than manually kind of make them. Because if I could, that means I don't have to think about the variations in the scale for each tree. But perhaps that is overkill. Is there another node related to bounds? Bounds from mesh. Sets the bounds according to the static or skeleton mesh provided in the mesh pin. Oh, okay. Warning. Is 0. Does not match. Oh, wait. I need to do this, do I? Yeah, because I don't have a mesh. That makes sense. I'm curious though, what do you look like? There you have the bounds. I'm looking at them. Yeah. It's closer to what I wanted, but it's too late in the graph network. Enjoying the song, the music, Green. Very energetic emoji you're posting. But can I somehow extract the scale from this point? Because I have a scale. And if I use that to multiply it, I feel like that doesn't work. I mean, there's probably a way to create a bounding box, right? I mean, something like this, the width of the X scale of your bounding box is the min X position and the max subtracted from the max position, right? I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Is it a casual group? I'm guessing a lot of people feel that sometimes just time isn't there. Sucks though. It does. Yeah, alright. But maybe now you can help me decide on something. Should I make the extent, which is more or less the bounding shape of an object? Should I try and... Actually, I kind of answered my own question. I still need the mesh to make it procedural. So, okay, so I can kind of go through the idea either way, but I need the meshes at this stage. But I don't have them. They're being spawned at a later stage. It doesn't really matter. But the point was, what I wanted to is to create these boxes to the same size as these meshes. Because what I can do then is to tell the graph that, hey, if these boxes are overlapping, that means one or more trees are also overlapping. So remove one of them, because I don't want overlapping trees. But since I don't have the information of the size of a static mesh at this stage of the graph, I can't do it. It's like saying, I don't know, I can't really think of something similar, but it's just not going to work. So in the end, I will have to manually create the extents. which sucks. Yeah, that's very close, yeah. All right. That sucks. But let's not dwell on that. Instead, how about we do this? Let's expose these. Create parameter. Let's do that. Let's make it a vector. Let's call it something else. Let's call it fur. Extent size. And also add this to a category. Fur trees. There we go. That's another thing I would like to see Epic fix. So I can add the category like so, but what I can't do, if let's say, that's wrong. So what I can't do is, let's say I go to this parameter, go to categories. I can't select any pre-made categories. I have to type it in again. Can you check the distance between spawns when they are spawned? Or can I drag in the category? Yeah, I can probably drag it in like this. Yes, I can actually. That's good point. Yeah, okay. But still annoying. It's not that as bad anymore, but it's still annoying. But the idea of using distance. So you're thinking, if I go back quickly to this guy, I guess. I've already have that guy. Okay. So you're thinking, for example, in why is that annoying? I mean, would have been easier if I could just click this. I guess maybe it's not that annoying to think about it. Still, if you go to the material function, if you create a parameter inside material or something like that, you'd still have access to all the categories in the drop-down menu. But not here for some reason. But yes, I am making a big deal out of something fairly small, I guess. Yeah. I'm just gonna move on from that. True, it's a bug. Yeah, I guess it could be categorized as a bug or a missed feature, which would be a different thing, right? But yeah. But they don't care because no one assigns that way. I don't think that's fair. Because, like, for example, if I go to a material and I have a constant, that is a parameter, right? And if I go to groups, I have all my groups. Do they use this? No. Okay, I don't need to fix it. Well, I mean, that's probably how they think about it. Absolutely. I mean, that is kind of how I look at things too. It's a matter of priority. I understand that. It could also be multi-billion-dollar company size of a freaking, I don't know, city realizing that, oh, that small thing, I didn't know that was a thing. So it's like, oh, people don't like this. Oh, that's a thing. I don't know. But yeah, I should probably not complain too much about it. Okay, so can I do this? Oh, okay. Make that extent. Let's make the default extents at least something. They blame it on you guys not reporting enough. I mean, yeah, I guess. Or at least they go hey, no one's reporting, so it's probably not that big of a deal. And I go then, that sucks, but touche, I understand. Yeah. There you go. Let's apply. Let's go back to the sandbox. And now I should be able to also move this guy. There's a few too many of those points. Number one reports it. I don't use it. Number one cares. Just delete. Oh, no one. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I read number one, but you meant no one. That's a new one. Oh, I'm probably drinking that beer a bit too fast. Oh, there you go. Perfect. So now that it's exposed, I should be able to... Is it this part? No? Where is it? Am I? Top line. No, it's right there. ECT4 is right there. Oh, yeah. Why would I? Yeah. Now that that makes no sense. Why would I do that? Why would I say that NO1 is number one when it's actually, yeah. Ah. Maybe I'm more tired. Maybe I'm more tired than I think. I'm still like probably an average of 3 hours in the deficit when it comes to sleeping. So yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry I have to deal with that. Oh, wait. Oh, that was too big. So 150. So let's make 150, 150. There we go. And just for the hell of it, let's make this guy 400. Should I make it larger? Just to make sure that it's actually a single large fur. Would it be interesting if we have it something like this? Because I have to make the scale quite big. What if we make it 200? That's not 200. That's 200. And now they're gone. Why are you gone? You need to take the box half height and add it to the X. The center point is in the middle of the box. Well, that's true. Well, that is if I wanted to make this procedural, right? And... Oh, okay, you're thinking... Oh, sorry, you meant the Z-axis. So what it does is that this cube is... This is just a debug mode. And I'm not sure if I can actually move... Because if... Okay, so if we look at this... Where is it? So it's this extent modifier. Do you have these bounds, right? I believe it's the bounds because there's no extent. And somehow I can't... I don't think I can move. Can I move? Yes. Okay, so I can make the min bounds and max bounds. I can make those. So if I make the min z bound 0 and I make z max double what it is right now, then that could work. It's kind of curious. How would you go about doing that? How would I do that? Can I break this somehow? No, not that. I could do that. But how do I access... yeah, this is just gonna look quite messy. You did things with PCG, then you forgot everything just as fast. I think that happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, I used to be, I wouldn't call me amazing, but I had some years in Houdini, made a few tools. I don't think I can go back today and feel like I can recreate whatever I did back in the day. It would take me a few months just to get back to it. But what if... Can I do like a get attribute? Or just an attribute? How about a set? So input 1 is the last of this, which makes sense. Why can't I select... Oh, if I do this. If I do that, I can then tell it to look for the bounce min. Then I can tell it to output 0. No. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, so that's not going to work because that is bounce on all of them. Oh, okay. So that's not going to work. So how about break? Wait, I'm starting to see that this might be getting quite complicated, honestly, and it might not be necessary. Can I remap? Oh, I can remap. Input source. Is there a way for me to tell it to... If I do that, but do .z. No. Can't do that. What if... Wait, I came... Maybe I got some inspiration here. So if I do that, go to point, go to z-min, or bounce min, but I'm going to add a .z. .z is a big Z. Can I do that? I just want to extract that. Well, yeah, in the end, yes, height in this particular case doesn't really matter because it's more like, hey, if you overlap, you overlap, and it's always going to be overlap in X and Y. But I'm kind of curious, can I even do this? Yeah, exactly. It's not, well, it's kind of to remove the mesh, but it's more like you start by removing the points where you will eventually spawn the mesh, if that makes sense. So all of these boxes are just representations of the point. Where do I spawn boxes? Just at a invisible point in space right now. So these are just representations of that point in space. So I'm spawning them on top of this landscape. You can kind of bring back. And what I'm telling it is say, hey, this node, which is the self-pruning node, if you have overlapping bounds, do stuff, right? So I'm thinking perhaps trying to make the half point and Z and things like that just overkill. And in code, you spawn cube and then spawn tree on top of the cube. Yeah, I mean, yeah, more or less. So the cube is still like a representation of that point, so it will not be shown in the end. So you have, hey, this is the extent, this is how big the cube will be. All the cubes that overlap, if there's one that fulfills certain conditions, remove the other ones and keep the ones that doesn't overlap. This one's more like, hey, do not overlap with the pine trees. This one grabs various splines in the scene and tells it, hey, if you're overlapping with these splines, or if you're inside the zone of these splines, do not spawn. Extend modifier scale with the purge in Queen. Extend modifier scale or something else. Oh, you're referring to let's see, this thing, scale method. I mean, I'm sure I can make it an absolute, but right now I'm just telling it, hey, look at this vector and make the default cube this size, or add the default cube. I think it does, which is the default cube should be 100 by 100 by 100. So it's even maybe overriding. Under advanced, is there more? Oh, that is advanced. That it was already open, or sorry, yeah, execute dependency require execution dependency. If enabled, this execution dependency pin will require the connected, or it needs to have something, I guess. Oh, below. Oh, there we go. Oh, it seems like there's more related to the advanced yeah, debugging stuff. And determinism, I don't really care about that because determinism is more about being able to predict across multiple computers where things spawn, right? I think I'm just looking at, in the end, these are big enough as is. And honestly, let's do this. Where are you? I have set this somewhere. Instance start calling. Let's just reset these. I'm just going to change that at a later point. There you go. Yeah, so the extend modifier just applies scale on whatever side you want. Yes, based on the origin point, which is at the center of the cube. So if I scale it in Z, it will add half the scale at the top and half the scale at the bottom. I don't know if you can get the scale of the object when you spawn and apply additive to the spawn location. Yeah, so the problem is, so at this stage of the graph, all I have access to is a single point in space and various attributes you can see in this table down here, right? So I don't know, at this stage, I don't know the size of my object unless I actually go and manually somehow collect it. That makes sense. Like if oh yeah, I'm just going to launch this static mesh in Blender or in the static mesh editor, write down the scale, then yeah. Want to run for all entries? Isn't this a simple array list? Yeah. As I explained, yeah, it is. But there's no mesh scale to go out. Like I can't look at the mesh scale. Like the execution goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and stops. Looks, hey, what's the extent? It's this. Okay, then moves on. You can't get entry info. Well, if I continue, if I understood your question right, so the entry information is this guy, right? Mesh entries. If I continue from this stage, yes, I can. Because at this stage, no mesh has been spawned. I guess what I could probably do, if there's an option for that, is kind of create 3 nodes down here that contains each mesh information. But that means I have to kind of store it first, look, and then move on. So, I mean, yeah, that is a workaround, absolutely. The question I have is kind of, should I? Is it not unnecessary, really? I mean, I guess what I could do is tell it to spawn, recalculate the extents, redo the pruning, or at least what I could do is remove the pruning and everything right there at this stage, and have the static mesh spawner over here instead. Right? So if I do this, that's it. Let's say I do that. Now I have a lot of static meshes spawned. No, I mean, no, because then I need to remove them somehow before I spawn them again. When you were wondering if you could, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I did. I think there is a workaround, but I do want to keep it slim and tight rather than do this intricate workaround. But I'm guessing what I could do is I do have the bounding box, right? Or rather than make it procedural perfectly fit a new bounding box, what I might want to do, or at least experiment with, is whether or not I can get the Z box, the Z scale, to extend from the origin up rather than from the origin up and down as it is doing right now. So I don't get this spawning underneath, but that is not really necessary. Okay, go for it. God damn, that's so good. Let's turn that off now. You want to prune overlapping tree, and you have a prune now. Why not keep pruning? Well, I am pruning, right? So the reason I make change in the extent is to affect how the pruning happens. And once that's done, I then tell it, hey, I don't need all that points even after the pruning. So remove more stuff and then scatter or spawn. Wait, why is it still showing the debugs? Oh, because this, I don't have to do that. There you go. Is this too many? This might be too many, right? I mean, this makes no sense. Isn't this how they did in Demo 2, where they use a box as a debug view and later spawn screens instead? Yeah. No, it is. It is. Absolutely. We might be talking around each other a bit. I don't have to do the things I'm talking about, because what I have right now might be more than enough. It was just me thinking, hey, wouldn't it be nice if that cube perfectly encapsulated each tree? Because then I would have a very mathematically correct size, because these trees are not the same scale. But the way they are right now, the system or the graph treats them as if they were the same scale. Yeah, well, 90% perfect. This is kind of like me in a nutshell. I'm 90% perfect because it's the height. It's not correct. And also I'm doing this manually. So I'm looking at it. Hey, would 200 be a perfect fit? 200 looks good. Would 150 be a good fit? Yes. Is 400 good fit? That's too tall. You get my point. So it's still manual right now, and it's also below the landscape. But I don't have to really worry about that, to be honest. I don't mean your cubes. I mean the bounding box in the mesh asset. Yes, it is. The mesh asset is bounding box, but that happens later in a later stage. So I don't have access to it unless I do all the placements of points, spawns the meshes, redo the creation of points, and then spawn meshes again. But this time I do have access to the correct bounded boxes. But in the end, I will likely get the same result. Just that now I have to double the number of lots or nodes. This is why PCG is weird, yeah. I mean, so PCG works similar to program, or I mean, to be honest, it's just a visual way of programming, right? So it starts from the left and goes to the right. Unless I tell it before it reaches this pruning stage, unless I tell it, hey, this is the size of the meshes I want to spawn. Unless I do that, it's not going to know how big the bounding boxes are unless I manually add the values. But this is cool. This is great. It makes me think. This is really good. I need to speak out loud. I'm sorry, the carbon is getting to me. And we got some ads. And I'm going to get some more drinks in me. And I'm going to have breaks. So I'm going to get some stretches too. So unless I manually cook, that might defeat the... I think. Let's get back to this once I've got some stretches in. So I see you all in about like a minute and a half, give or take. So all right, so I'll be back in a little bit. So do get your stretches into and grab some water. I was interrupted by McDonald's. Typical. All right, so see you all in bits. There we go. You got 15 seconds to break. Okay. What are the rules for the length of the breaks? It seems like it's different for each viewer. All right. I've seen ads for like 2 minutes sometimes, and sometimes it's just like nothing. I don't know. Maybe I should look into that. Could be important. Okay, let's see. The first thought is, once we're back now, that I need to remove some of these. And the way I will do it is I'm going to extend the extent modifier, the extent box even more. Because if I do that, I can tell it, hey, the bare minimum I want these trees to be away from each other is give or take 4 meters or something like that. And I think that could work quite well. Because I don't think we want them to be this close. Like these guys. This would, I'd rather have just a single one. I think that is a lot better. So, fir trees, let's make, is it 200 on each side? I'm curious. Let's try that out. We can is throw down a cube. So this cube should be 1 by 1 or 100 units by 100 units. And my impression is that it's 200 on each side. And so this extent, I can also probably double check that by going here and see that it's 200 in the negative and 200 in the positive. So yeah, probably the easiest way to do it. So my extent would be double the size of the cube. So if I make it 200, it means it's actually 400. So if I make it 400, it's actually 800. That makes sense. Wait, why? Wait, what? Excuse me, why did you disappear? Does that make sense? No, it does not. At least not in my head. Why? I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait, what? So no, it's not the pruning. Not the pruning. How about you? Alt, okay. What? Oh, yeah. Right. Right. No, I get it. That's not what I had in mind. But we can fix that. Okay, so quickly what's happening. These points up here, that's my pine trees. And the pine trees tells me, hey, if you're overlapping with the ferns, the fern trees, and that is based on the extent. So if it's a large extent, of course, there's going to be an overlap, very likely at least. If that happens, you're going to remove the fern trees. But before I do the extent, before I do this, we can tell it, hey, if you overlap with the original smaller version of the fern tree, then remove. So a lot fewer fern trees will be removed. How about we do that instead? So I'm going to remove this. Like so. And so. Did it create a new one? I did. Okay. I don't know if I have to be this particular, but let's go for it. So if I'm correct, what's going to happen now is that we'll still have a lot more fern. We'll have like a lot more ferns. There you go. But they shouldn't be overlapping any pines. So how about we check that? Let's do this. And let's, for now, turn you off. So we should... I mean, there might be some overlaps. Might be. Yeah. I mean, some isn't the end of the world. This might be good. How about this? It might still be a bit too many of these larger trees nearby. Maybe that is not true either way. But I just got a flashback in my head where I'm pretty sure I remember an area where we had a lot of ferns roughly this size that we're looking at right there, kind of surrounding you, and as you have to walk through them, this may be a very particular memory, but that is what I kind of remember. All right, so should I remove you guys, or should I keep it as is? I think we should add even more. Yep, let's do that. I'm gonna make this 350, 350. There we go. So now that I have those points, where's the best place to do this? Because I can do something called grid, right? So I can do something called points grid. And what that does is this. Maybe I can't show it. Yeah, there you go. So at a specific point, it will just spawn a grid of other points, right? So these are kind of hard to tell because they're probably really close by. So that, yeah, this is a better view. You have all of these points are now scattered at the center of this level, because that's the default. But if I tell it, depending on where I start telling it to do it, do I want to do it down here from this part? I think I do, because after this is the final points. These are the points for the ferns, right? So if I do copy 2, probably didn't spell that right. Copy 2. So copy points, perhaps. It's not source, so it's this way. So if I've understood this, what's going on? So if I'm correct now, goddamn. Sorry, on my target. There you go. So target. So it will spawn the same grid at the points where the fern trees were. There we go. So yeah. Which, of course, looks absolutely freaking horrendous right now. I still need to remove based on the pines. Oh, this is going to be such a big what if checks mess. We'll fix that at some point, I guess. So what we could do. Do I need to do this again? Yeah, I do. So how about we do this? Move you all down. Did it out. Do that. Create a rerad node. Rename it to pine points. I can probably just call it pine points. Connect that. So now I can do that. Grab a difference. Right. Add it. Source. Pine points. Remove. And then there you go. There you go. Yeah. So now you can see we don't have points spawning on top of pines. Perfect. Actually, it's really cool. Let's do this. Reroute. For large points. Clean it up a bit. So now we can move this down. From here, I want to... I'm guessing I want to do something like this. Instead of spatial, I believe we just want to do density noise. Right, perfect. Next, I want to do the density filter. I want to remove a lot more. Right. And next, do I do the transform now or earlier? Does it matter? I don't think it does. How about we do a transform? Let's try. There we go. Like, which one is it again? It's this guy. Offset min. So how much do I want to offset them in either min or max? It's half a meter, too much. How about 50? Should be negative 50, negative 50. We're not going to move it in Z. It's going to stay. Let's do 50, 50. Rotation minimum, 0. Rotation maximum, 360. Scaling, 0.8. So it's like 20% either larger or smaller to give variation. Do that. No difference because I haven't done this yet. There you go. Now we have some overlap. And with that, we can do another pruning. Then move this over. Still think that might be too much because I'm looking at the smaller trees now. So let's have maybe 2 or 3 for larger. So let's do, how about 0.9? That, oh, that's not even. That is not I wanted. Aha. Okay, so I need to do something else. Let's see if I can't get some inspiration from that video. So how about that? Can you give me some inspiration? You're doing some transform points. Oh, you calculated distance. Interesting. Why? Oh. Right. Right. We can reduce based on the distance from. Well, is that interested? Or am I interested in that from when I'm working on the furs? That's the question. So, do I have that? No, I don't. Okay. Let's do this. Excuse me. There you go. So here's kind of my logic this time. So let's say I have, not that guy. There we go. So I have a fern. amazing skills, right? There you go. At the center. And my guess is what I want is to create something like this. Perhaps one there, perhaps something like that. Right now, it's like so. It's just this, right? We don't want that. We want more randomness. So what he's doing in the video is that he takes a look at this position and then calculates, hey, how far away are you? And if you're on the edge of the radius, the circle, he tells him, hey, everything near this edge will be 1, or the density of those points will be 1. And as you get closer, you'll get closer to 0. So you'll have a gradient that goes out towards the edge. So you can then tell it, hey, everything above a certain value will be removed. And we can kind of make the thing tighter. I'm not sure if that makes sense for us because we already have kind of a scatter position around the mesh. What we could try, instead of distance, we could add the spatial noise again, make it really small in scale. Because what the spatial noise does is that it follows this noise pattern that kind of tells it, hey, everything, these will be white or brighter in value, and everything outside of these will have a dark value. So when I decide to remove trees, everything outside, like these, will be removed. And I'm left with everything that's inside, which should probably mitigate the chances that I will have like a perfect scattered pattern like this. So how would let's try that. So we need to start. Instead of doing this, I am going to start with this instead. Like so. Yes, all right. Next, spatial noise. And this is probably just going to look like that, exactly. So what we need to do then is go to transform and scale. So the question is, should I increase the scale or decrease the scale? I should decrease quite a bit. So let's do 50. What does that give us? I mean, at some point, the decrease will not affect the pattern as much because there's only so much you can send to these points. So, I mean, they might be interacting with or intersecting like hundreds, maybe 1,000 various values. I'm not sure which one is sent. Could be the one nearest to the center of the cube itself or the point itself. Let me try something else. How about that? Still feels like it's kind of the same, isn't it? Oh, that's why. Why did that happen? Why am I looking at emissive stuff? Okay, let's just make default. I think default works. And we could also increase these values. And then, you know what? Let's move 150 away. That's fine. In both directions. Yeah. It might mean it interacts with itself. That might be an issue. You know what? Let's just go for it. So it's got spatial noise. Let's do the filter. Self-pruning. God damn. Nothing? Did I remove too much? Wait, what? I know. What that? There you go. There we go. I feel like it's more or less, more random at least. We can make it even more random. Let's do that again. This time, keep all of these. Actually, let's do this. And this guy. Yeah, and finally, one last hooray. Oh, less obvious, I guess. Still need to make sure that doesn't happen. And the way we do that is that at some point. Oh, wait. I made a mistake. I made a mistake, haven't I? Yes, I have. I wonder how many people see it. The mistake I'm making is that I'm doing the removal based on where the pine trees and the fir trees are too early. Or at least in this case, I'm only doing it on pine trees. I'm doing it too early. I need to do it later on. Because if I do random positioning afterwards, it might move a point into a pine tree again. I need to do this. Now. Now I need this. Can I combine these ones? Is there a merge? There is a merge. So what if... What if I do that? And also, why are you saying... Because of that. Oh. So we don't need that. There you go. And now, how about this? How about that? All right. Oh, it's all gone again. God damn. Because it's yeah. God damn. If I do it that way, then yeah, that makes sense. So what I need to do is extend modifier, make you once. That might be too small, but there you go. Yeah, it's too small apparently. There we go. So yeah. It'll be fun when I am going to clean up all of this stuff. Yes, I hope all this makes sense if you're interested in these things. So what we're doing is kind of it's not just right. We're grabbing or creating a grid pattern of points, telling it, hey, spawn this grid pattern at all of these points, which is all the fur 3 points. Then we're telling it, hey, do a random rotation between 0 and 360 on the z-axis. It's not on the other axis, so it's not going to tilt. And also make sure you're randomizing the movements from left to right and back and forward in x and z between 150 and negative 150 and positive 150. So we have like a 3 meter range, right? Then noise, spatial noise just creates a kind of like a clouds noise or a regular noise texture pattern. So it gives it a more natural look as to how the density, which is something we can use to remove stuff, is spread out. It feels like, you know, we could probably have a look if I do this. If I do a debug, tell it, hey, I need to have a look at this guy. So if we go up in the sky, also, I need to do this. Let's make you absolute, make it 5 in this case. So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I can't do that either. But if you look at the pattern, you see that there's quite a lot of white. It's almost like islands. So that is what the spatial noise does. We can kind of remove that. And then we just filter the black and white as well. So in this case, between 0.53 and 0.63. So everything outside of those values will be removed. Then we randomize the noise. So now each point has a value between 0 and 1, which is now random rather than predictable as the spatial noise is. And then we do the same density filter again, remove, do that. And then we do something called self-pruning, which I kind of looked at or talked about earlier. But what it does is that it looks at nearby points and looks at the relationship between them and tells, hey, my extent box, the cube we've been looking at, does it overlap with another cube from the same point data set? If it does, then look at the scale of that cube and tell me which one's the largest one, and then look at everything else intersecting that large point and tells me, hey, is the difference in scale around or within the range of 0.25? And I believe it is. If it is, it's just going to delete those points other than one single point. I think that is how it works. The point is that it will remove overlapping points. That's kind of the simplest way to say, hey, everything overlapping, be gone. Keep one, but everything else be gone. And then I'm merging all the points from the previous scattered assets, which is the pine trees and the larger fir trees, and tell it, hey, let's do the same thing. If you're overlapping these cubes, remove the new set of points, but keep those that doesn't overlap these older, larger trees. And lastly, we do debug, and that is what we get. I believe if I do this. So now we have these. That might be too many, so we might have to reduce a bit more, but that is close to what I want. Let's do 0.45 and 55. See what that gives us. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Lastly, let's grab this guy. Copy it. But instead of the entries we do have, we're going to go to mesh entries. And let's increase this. There we go. Do this. And then we're going to pick medium 1 and medium 2. We're not going to pick medium 3 because that one is slightly awkward in the sense that it's as large as a large tree. So we don't want that. So I'm just going to delete that guy. And if I go back, remove this and do that. There we go. That's kind of perfect in many ways. I might have to extend the extents of these. I don't want them to grow that close, or do I? No, I don't. So all I need to do is an extend modifier. There we go. Add that to this. That. Kind of same as the other tree. I should probably make a variable. Let's do rename. Call it for a large size. Add a not a float. It needs to be a vector. It needs to be renamed. Call medium. If I can spell. And of course, drag and drop it in the same category. So for now, make it 100 by 100 by 100. It's probably too big. All right, I need to do that. We can probably drag and drop this on top. Yes, we can. Perfect. Save, and there we go. Could probably increase the size of these ever so slightly. Let's make sure. Yeah, well, maybe I want that close. Maybe that is the bare minimum. Yeah, I think so. Hello, MHL. How you doing? Welcome. How's your week been? Anything new, interesting happen? You were working on shaders last time we spoke, I believe. Right? You were watching a horror game before this. I'm in spooky mood. Nice. Which game was it? Okay, week, nothing much going on. Those are good weeks. Honestly, I prefer those weeks over bad weeks. And also, you kind of need boring weeks every now and then, just to have makes things more interesting once you get to the more fanatic or interesting weeks. If that makes sense. But you know what? I feel this is okay. You don't know about a Zeusian style cosmic horror game. What? That tells me nothing. Other than it sounds interesting. Dr. Seuss cosmic horror game. I need a name, dude. That sounds amazing. Can you find it for me? Curious, really curious. What the hell is that? A graph. Like so. Kind of used to been working quite a bit in Substance Designer, and the way you add frames is different. You kind of right click and pick frames, while in Unreal it's just press C for comments. Do I get this color? This. There we go. The Island of Dr. Morose. Okay, now I need to have a look. And there's a game? Because there seems to be a book and movie. Or maybe not. I misspelled the last one. It's a long game, okay. Can I not get it that big? I can. Okay, so let's do this. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Well, that reminds me of that sound. When he talks, that sound effect, it reminds me of... is it Let's Start Together? No, Don't Start Together, right? Is it the same creator? Could it be? Let's have a look afterwards. Oh, wow. How weird. What's the horror aspect? Let's jump a bit, see what gives it. Because now I'm curious, what's the horrors? What the? Yeah, that is kind of creepy. All right. Let's see. Square butterfly interaction. That's their first game. Okay, at least the first game on Steam. Cool. Really cool. Like those types of interesting and different games. All right. Where were we? Right. This needs to be... There we go. There we go. That's good progress. Let's see. It would be nice if I had a drink in my hand right now to celebrate, but apparently, yeah, I don't have one. That's probably for the best. Right. Let's have a look. Can I get one of these showing up in the sun? Because they're really dark. I'm not sure if that is proper. I mean, they are really, really dark. Can I walk through them? I don't think I can I? Yes, I can. Why are you allowing me to walk through? Have I missed a setting? That's not what I wanted. Or have... No, they were right. I'm pretty sure when we were in the acid zoo, they had functional gliders, right? But now they don't. And neither do you. Does that mean if I start playing from here? And I can't go through you. I can go through you. Okay. So what's going on? It's always something, isn't it? That has. This has. That has. Okay, so these do have, which means I'm assuming there's something in this guy. What is this? How about instead of doing that, no collisions. There you go. Use defaults. Defaults. So it's going to block all these. Okay. No. You're fine. How about that? I'm not 100% sure I want to go with that setting, but who knows? Maybe I do. No, you're still blocking.
Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared?
Oh, wait. Makes sense.
I am you.
At least, I think that makes sense with these. There you go. And the small ones. Yep. Perfect. So looking at you, can I see your... Just want to see if there's a lighter somewhere. No? Alright. Fair enough.
I will get you. The time it goes tick tock.
Awesome. I'm happy. What time is it? 10 o'clock. Let's make some notes.
Are you afraid of the dark?
So the notes should be something like... Is there new content? Well, technically no.
I am you.
Content changed though. That's nothing. Yes. What else happened? snooze those ads for now. Were there any bugs? Did we have any bugs this time around? I don't think we did. I think we're fine as is. Let's do this. Okay. So with this done, I'm always kind of happy with the gradient scale we did last time. It's kind of nice. Because in the center, we should have larger trees. We kind of do. Not perfect. Shouldn't be perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to see whether or not... When they're in the shade, they're really... So I wonder... They're really dark when they're in the shade. Which again tells me probably... why I am so confused. I mean, that's not correct by any means. Why is it that normal seems to be my biggest enemy? Have I changed something in the... Did I do that? Did I change something? No. Or perhaps this isn't correct. How about... I don't think this is going to help. No, did not. Is it in PCG graph? Is there something happening while I'm scattering these things? Or something with the tangents? I'm not sure why. I've been through times where things like, why are you doing this? And it just doesn't make sense, but it's just happening. How about this? My calculations that I'm doing is messing things up. But why? But why? Right. The irony is what it feels like is that because this works, this calculations I'm doing works in the other scene, but for some reason now it doesn't. Why? I'm gonna use all my snooze for now. It's closer. What if we bypass that thing? Then we're back to that, okay. So this should be fine. Because this is recalculating the normal blue channel. Should be fine. This is just telling it, hey, use this or don't use that. This is... We're grabbing the gets the local position of the mesh based on the selected local origin. Right. We're looking at the... Oh, wait. Could it be this? Yes. No. And we're back. God darn. Gosh darn. Gosh darn. Well, that's another normal thing to fix. It feels like I mean, with the normals right now, it's like one step forward and two steps back each time. It's kind of annoying. No, wait. Hang on. The trees in the distance are... Right. No, it makes sense. Because the trees in the distance, which looks okay, are actually the imposters. And the imposters are hard-baked normal data, so that is fine. These, however, are not. Now it's fine. Okay, so I am missing something really important. I don't know what. I have to look out for that. And also, that trunk looks horrendous. Why? That's all right. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. I think this is a good spot for me to stop. I am, to be honest, way too tired to make these complicated math stuffs that usually when I'm at my best, I barely understand. So makes sense to kind of stop and move on. And also, I only have one more snooze. I don't want to snooze another time and wait. Whereas things like that, you all get it. Either way, thank you all for showing. If you like this and you're on YouTube side, you know what to do. I think please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, all of that. It would really help me a lot because I am aiming for the 1,000 subscribers, and we passed 500 not long ago, which was amazing. I'm really grateful for that. And if it's Twitch, that's your favorite platform, do consider give me a follow. We're 2 followers away from 90. That'll also be a nice goal to hit. Either way, I appreciate just everyone being here. And yeah, I think that until next time, have a wonderful evening or morning, afternoon, whatever it is. And yeah, I'll see you all the next time, which might be this weekend, but more likely will be on Monday. So yeah. All right, let's see if we can be a professional Twitcher and find someone to raid. How about that? How about that? How did you do that again? It's like... Don't know anything. All right, let's do it this way. With the new setup I have, it's not as easy as I wanted. It's just insane. Oh, it's not that. I should definitely add the button. How about this? I can do it this way. Yes, I can. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. How about this? This looks kind of cool. Yeah, and she's in Blender too. How about that? Yeah, there we go. All right. So once again, thank you all, and I hope to see you next time. All right, bye-bye.